So how does the U.S. match up globally when it comes to foster care and LGBT rights? And where's the international community headed right now? Let's bring in Maria Sjodin. She's the Deputy Executive Director for Outright Action International, back with us again tonight. It's an organization focused on advancing human rights for LGBTIQ communities around the globe. Maria, it's good to have you back. The United States, as we all know, is incredibly progressive in some ways, not in other ways. How do we compare to other countries when it comes to something like foster care and adoption for gay people?
So there actually, I think internationally, there has been much less focus on foster care than there has been on adoption. And adoption by same-sex couples is only explicitly legal in 29 countries. And most of those also recognize same-sex marriage or partnership. And so, I mean, looking at how many countries there are in the world, 29 is not a lot. I think in terms of foster care, my own country, Sweden, I know we discussed advancing rights around adoption much earlier than we really had a focus on foster care. And I think that might be the case in a lot of countries, that there is more focus on the adoption than the foster care system. But I hope that, of course, I mean, we know there are many children everywhere who need foster parents as well in whatever country we're talking about.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yes, of course.
Which hundreds of thousands here in the U.S. we've had on foster parents and foster advocates here. And maybe we should just say, because I don't think we laid this out, and having been through this myself, I can tell viewers, you know, once you decide you want to go this route, you have a social worker come in your home, you know, 3-4 times. They spend hours with you. They look around. They do everything. You answer their questions. And so that's called a home study. And you have to get screened in that way and approved before you can even proceed to having children come into the home. So with that in mind, assuming you want to expand rights for foster and adopt, do you feel we're headed in the right or wrong direction globally when it comes to LGBT people?
I think my answer to this question is always both. In some places, things are getting better. In some cases, it's getting worse. I mean, we have seen in the last few years, I mean, let me give a couple of examples, how specifically family values or sort of protecting the family is being used against LGBTIQ people. We saw it, for example, in Kenya in 2019 when the Kenyan High Court ruled that they were going to keep the ban on same-sex relations, which is a colonial era legacy law, and a lot of the argument was centered around what they said was the fundamental importance of family and the threat to that if same-sex relations were to become decriminalized. We've seen it in Poland. Around 100 towns in Poland, a third of the country, have passed resolutions declaring themselves LGBT-free zones, which has been lobbied by conservative Catholics and others, and it's used as call to protect families, as if we somehow were a threat to families, when in fact many of us have, of course, our own families.
Absolutely. We come from families, and many of us want to create a family of our own one day. Yeah, it's worth noting there is no LGBT-free zone, even if you don't recognize them officially. They're there. We're there. And, you know, we're usually good people when you get to know us. I appreciate it. Maria Sjodin in New York tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.